Let's immediately invite Maksim Burkov, the second co-founder of Pro Blockchain Media, to the stage. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. A lot of interesting things have already been shared here by Vyacheslav during his part of the presentation. Before I start my talk, well, let's give a round of applause. Smile at each other, shall we? Why are you all looking so down? You guys are awesome. Tell me, please. I love asking this question. Who here has Bitcoin in their portfolio in a reasonable, decent amount? 0.0.0.0.0.1 doesn't count, right? 0.2, 0.2. That's decent. And who has altcoins? Please raise your hand. All right, let's be honest now. Who has altcoins, meme coins, shit coins, crap coins? Raise your hands. NFTs? Got it? So my talk will actually be more general, and I think understandable for different segments of the audience. That is, both for the younger generation and for those who are older. We're going to figure out how not to lose money on crypto or how to make money with it. So yeah, you've already seen this. Well, our media outlet has been around for a long time, and we have a lot of awards. And we just got another one at Blockchain Life. We recently won it. It's for Best Telegram Channel. Let's give a round of applause for Natya. We work really hard. We've been in the market for almost 10 years now. Every day, we try to figure out how all of this works. I have a gift for all of you who came today, especially for those who aren't familiar with this yet. If you scan this QR code and then do a bunch of other steps, you'll get 24 video lessons for free, which will help you understand what crypto is in just 2 days. For some of you, these might be basic things, and for others, not so basic. How to create a wallet, how to use decentralized protocols, how to register on an exchange, portfolios, and all of that. So the main message of this talk, friends, is this: quick and easy money. In crypto, those days are over. You might witness and carefully observe other people generating substantial wealth in a very short amount of time. But with a very high probability, if you decide to enter into this volatile market yourself, you will unfortunately end up losing every bit of it. If you make sudden, unjustified moves, and most importantly, if you enter this market without experience, you end up in a niche where, on the other side of the screen, there are experienced traders. Founders who create various tokens in order to take your stablecoins, take your fundamental assets, and most importantly, take your bitcoins. Because everyone who has been in crypto for a long time understands one thing: there are fundamental assets, and then there is everything else. Bitcoin is one of them, and the goal for all the so-called olds, the guys who have been in crypto for a long time, is to increase the amount of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Not meme coins, not stablecoins, not Ethereum, but specifically Bitcoin. In reality, trading has a very poor win rate, especially if you are inexperienced. And now artificial intelligence has come into play, and they've started trading quite smartly, although we haven't seen all the models yet, successful ones. But believe me, if models trained by professional traders show results, what do you think are the chances for a young guy who has watched a bunch of videos and some training courses to come into this market and take the money? Well, it's just minuscule. You have to understand it. Probably about 2% of people become successful traders. Yeah. By the way, I consider them traders, and this new narrative, trading on Solana. Very few people know about it. Young people on Solana, on Ton, you trade meme coins. You are basically engaged in trading and trying to beat the professionals in this market. Developers who understand how liquidity pools work, know how smart contracts operate, know how projects are built, and have a clear understanding of what liquidity is and how to properly take it from you. Here's an example I have. This happened very recently, literally just 3 days ago. It is believed that this wallet belonged to someone close to the Trump family. And 14 consecutive profitable trades. The total realized profit generated on this specific digital wallet reached an impressive $33 million. They were actively engaged in high-frequency trading activities, of course, utilizing various sophisticated decentralized protocols, such as the Hyperliquid platform, to achieve these substantial financial gains. From a profit of 33 million, minus 45 million in just one day. And lately, there have actually been a lot of such cases. And centralized exchanges, they're not very. They don't handle the situation properly because stop losses don't trigger, there are slippages, and so on. And really, we're laughing here, but many traders lost their entire fortunes. Some couldn't even go on living after that. That's how the story went. And what's most interesting, you need to understand who here keeps their funds on a centralized exchange. Please raise your hand. You absolutely need to, as soon as possible. Withdraw your funds because you need to understand that what is on a centralized exchange is not your money. It's the exchange's money. It's their money. The funds are in their wallets and anything can happen at any moment. FTX exchange is a prime example. I don't know, maybe some of you had funds on FTX, but it collapsed, even though it was a very powerful project. Everyone got arrested and things turned out very badly. That's why centralized exchanges are the worst idea there is. What do we do in practice? From our experience, if we need to buy something or trade, we only keep the amount necessary for that. We buy it, withdraw it within a week, and that's it. There's no need to store funds there. That's what wallets on your iPhone, MetaMask on your computer, or anywhere else are for. And in fact, this is the simplest approach I was talking about. It works for people with large capital, and it suits those who are older. You simply choose fundamental assets and accumulate them for the long term. This doesn't have to be just Bitcoin. It could be Ethereum or some other fundamental coins. I believe that in this cycle, fundamental assets will outperform everything else, because right now the market needs greater liquidity and higher capitalization. And everything below that? The top 100 are basically low caps, which aren't suitable for investment by fundamental capital. And there's your answer. I believe that literally only the top 10 or top 20 assets are the ones that are interesting to institutional investors. And right now, this trend, why do we see that altcoins aren't growing? Because institutions don't need these altcoins. It's impossible to put the kind of liquidity they have into them. That's the main point. What have we been doing for the past 5 or 6 years? We have a public portfolio and we show and broadcast DCA. We buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and we also used to buy Polygon, Polkadot, as an index. That is, every day we buy the same amount of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. And here you can see, it's a great story, because basically you take the pressure off yourself. You get rid of that FOMO feeling, whether you bought high or bought low. You just keep buying regularly. That's the main point of this strategy. And I have a lot of friends to whom we've promoted this approach. And those who have been following this for 5 years now, all they can say is thank you, because their portfolios have grown. This is what index investing looks like. We track the statistics on CoinGecko. For example, these are the Bitcoin prices at which we made our purchases. 52,060. And here's the amount of Bitcoin that was bought, the date it was purchased, and how much money was spent. $700, $1,200, $700, $900, and so on. This is how Bitcoin was being bought up. And what do you achieve with these actions? I've already mentioned volatility. It helps you avoid mistakes. In other words, you don't have to think about when exactly you need to buy in. You just buy. It builds discipline because you're in the market. You're forced to understand at least a little about what's going on, at least keep up with the news background and so on. And most importantly, what I like is that it takes no more than 2 hours a week of your time. So everyone can do what they love, live their own life, pursue their profession. That's the cool part. I work in cryptocurrency. Friends without much experience? It will be hard to make money against serious players who are already in this market. Because the most important thing you need to understand is that in the market, whenever someone earns, someone else inevitably loses. It can't be any other way in any market. So if you made money, it means someone else lost and vice versa. Large investors. As the saying goes, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And that's really how it is. That's often how it works. Now, I'd like to talk a bit, especially to the young people who are just getting started. So, what can you do right now? I get it, I understand, I see the look in young people's eyes thinking, you're telling us some nonsense. What Bitcoin, what $100, $200 are you talking about? We need the tool that Slava was talking about. We need to make money fast. But guys, the most important thing is that the days of quick money are over. Right now, this works for more Well, I already talked about DC. That's suitable for everyone, for larger investors. In fact, the DeFi market is so developed today, in simple terms. DeFi is like the banking system in the cryptocurrency sector, which works with digital assets. And providing liquidity in DeFi is a really great thing. Centralized exchanges. Centralized exchanges are like Binance, for example, where there are people who provide liquidity there. That's a certain group of people. And then decentralized exchanges appeared, like Uniswap, PancakeSwap, and so on. And those who have capital can provide liquidity to these decentralized protocols. And by doing this, you will earn your commission from trading fees. And in fact, the returns can reach up to 100% per year, including that. And this is not a joke, I'm not making things up. I'm telling you. Moreover, even with relatively low risk strategies, by opening liquidity pools and using assets like Ether, Bitcoin, or even by providing liquidity to pairs with stablecoins like USDT and USDC, you can earn 5 to 10% per year. But this is probably quite complicated. Next, we have something called MetaMask. Does everyone know what MetaMask is? Have you ever used the wallet? Please raise your hands. Oh, a lot of people know MetaMask. All right, look guys. What is MetaMask doing right now? There is a project called 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗖𝗟𝗔𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗥. MetaMask and 𝗗𝗜𝗏 are both part of Consensus. And they announced that they will reward users who are currently interacting with MetaMask by distributing $30 million in 𝗗𝗏𝗧𝗓 tokens. Right now, you can easily perform certain specific actions in MetaMask to earn valuable points, and later exchange them for rewards. After a period of 80 days, you will be able to swap these for 𝗗𝗏𝗧𝗓 tokens, and we actually expect that MetaMask will do an airdrop. That's why this is quite an interesting direction right now, especially for young people. Using these kinds of tools, especially since they give you some basic points for certain exchanges, it's relatively inexpensive and you can get an airdrop. We even have a video about MetaMask. Look, I've brought up this video for you here. A guide on how to efficiently farm points on MetaMask. You can open and save this video for yourself. We recorded it specifically for this purpose, or find it on our social media. It's all free, you don't have to pay for it, but it's a tool that can provide a basic foundation. Some kind of starting capital for young people to get started in crypto and actually do something. Most importantly, it'll make you figure out how Web3 works. Because you have to understand that in 3 to 5 years, even grandmothers will probably start using Web3 wallets, and it will become just as common as using a mobile banking app today. Let's get back to the topic. So this is already for the wealthy, for those who have capital. It's a very cool tool, very serious. So look, the main idea we've realized after 10 years, in this market, never sell your Bitcoin. Never under any circumstances. You should only accumulate it and not pay attention to its price. This is what traders are telling you right now. Surely, some of you in the audience are thinking, but you can sell at a higher price and then buy back cheaper. That's complete nonsense. You'll never be able to pull that off. Your own greed will make you do the exact opposite. When you have a large amount of fundamental assets that truly hold some value, you can use them as collateral to take out loans. These are called lending protocols, like Aave or Compound. For example, you have some Ether. I showed you an example. I personally use this kind of loan. So I have Ether, wrapped Ether, worth $40,000. 12 coins. And then there's this crap, Polygon, which we bought, and something else as well. And you see USDTO on the right? That's just on the Matic Polygon network. Using my assets as collateral, my total balance is $70,000. I issued myself $18,000 in stablecoins, regular USDT dollars. I can use them as I wish. I can buy back some assets if I need to at the moment, or I can spend it on myself, buy something I need. And the most interesting part is that I didn't sell my Ethereum. I still have it. And then when the price of Ethereum goes up, my balance here increases as well. So by issuing myself a loan in stablecoins, I'm not risking that. Let's say I lose money if the asset's value goes up. Because, let me repeat, the main idea is that I have no intention of selling fundamental coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Because very soon, this understanding will come. zero point 0.1 Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin, those will seem like something fantastic. People will start thinking in Satoshis. We'll be asking, how many Satoshis do you have? 100,000 Satoshis. But if someone says, like, I have 1 whole Bitcoin, they'll be like, it's like seeing a Rolls Royce in Minsk. That's something fantastic. There are only 3 or 5 of them driving around here. It'll be the same with having 1 Bitcoin. So believe me, it might seem complicated, but to take out this loan, you just need to press 4 buttons. 4. You just need to know how to use MetaMask and connect it. There's a little wallet icon in the corner. Connect it, add your Ether here to the collector, and then press 1 button to issue yourself a stablecoin. And now you have dollars in your wallet. You can go spend them. You withdraw them wherever you know how, Whitebird and so on. Wherever you know, you send the stablecoin to your wallets and off you go. So, what to do during altcoin season? That's the main question everyone has. Everyone I meet asks me about it. What's up with altcoin season? When will my alts go up and what should I do? Guys, I have bad news for you. Your alts might never go up. Just never. They might never rise in price. Your alts might never go up because the trend has changed. Why did altcoins used to go up before? It was a different market. There were no institutional investors, no big capital. Some of these local level schemes were pumping these altcoins. Now everything has changed. Once again, let me repeat. Institutional investors aren't interested in low cap assets because it's not profitable for them to pump the price by multiples. And let some retail investors make money off this story. But you understand objectively, no one actually wants to make you richer. That's why altcoin season might not happen at all, or it might only be partial. Why do I say partial? Because today, what interests big capital is, as Slava said, real-world assets are a great asset class. They're also interested in layer 2 solutions. All of this is built on top of Ethereum. Because, for example, Matic, like Arbitrum, Optimism, all of this works. I think we'll eventually get to transparent cross-chain solutions, and that'll be great. RWA exists, and DeFi projects, protocols. These are exactly the lending protocols I showed you. That's the whole story. And now even CoinGecko has made separate tabs for people where you can check out RWA projects and DeFi projects. These are the things you should be paying attention to, not listening to your neighbors saying, oh, there's a new meme coin with $3,000 in liquidity. That's just ridiculous. You realize that there, you'll just end up losing your money. Meme coins are losing relevance due to low capitalization and high volatility. In general, we do talk a bit among ourselves, behind the scenes with people, and a lot of meme coins were actually launched specifically for money laundering. And you, the people who happen to make money off of it, were just uninvited passengers who got very lucky. But that rarely happens, and I think it will be hard to repeat that story. And all the guys who were involved with meme coins will back me up. Probably 95% lost money on these ventures. So the strategy for your portfolio should be to focus on fundamentally strong projects. So you can just keep doing what you love. Business, I don't know, some work in IT companies with quite high salaries. Set aside 10% of your income to buy fundamentally strong assets. Guys, especially the younger ones listening to me, time flies by in an instant. In 2018, remember Slav, we were speaking here at the crypto game conference, right here in this hall, in this very spot. Time just flew by in a flash. In 10 years, let me give you an example. I was buying Bitcoin and Ethereum for $300 a week. $600. Well, yes, maybe some of you will be buying at $60. But now this portfolio of mine is public, and it's valued taking into account all the volatility. Taking into account that meme coins dropped by $500,000. I've outperformed any trader over the long run. And what do you think were the most profitable assets in this portfolio? Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum. Everything else makes up 85%. Well, everything else is the majority of portfolios of those listening to us. An 85 to 95% drawdown. That's all, friends. Thank you for your attention. If you're interested, subscribe. You're awesome for showing up.